Welcome everyone to this week's Tim Talks. We are so fired up. I know you can tell by the background. We are not in Atlanta and we are not in the Tim Talks podcast room studio, whatever you want to call it. We are in my hometown, Florence/Burlington, Kentucky. As again, thank you all for your thoughts and emails and prayers over these last 5 months. This was my dad's homecoming this weekend, and it was phenomenal. Heading back to Atlanta tomorrow. I am fired up right now to have one of my dear friends who has become a dear friend, who I think is probably one of the brightest minds, fresh new minds in the automotive space. He is the marketing and business development director at Nelson Mazda. He is the founder of ContagiousAuto.com, Contagious Podcast. You may have seen him or been in a room of his at NADA because he had the forethought to put together several rooms on Clubhouse that I would argue had more people in those rooms that Kyle put on. There's no argument. Let me back up. There were more people in your rooms, brother, than there were in breakout sessions at NADA. It was crazy. You had Glenn Lundy, you had Scott Simons, you had Brian Benstock, you had all the guys, all the girls, some phenomenal girls in there, women as well. And it is my pleasure to welcome who's become my dear friend, Kyle Mountsier, to this show. Did I say the last name right, or are you going to yell at me again?
You blew it up, just like my freshman year high school teacher.
Mountsier.
It's like a mountain. It's like a mountain.
Mountsier. Kyle Mountsier.
As American as you can get for the French people.
Mountsier. Everybody wants to make you French. Mountsier. Sorry, bro. I always blast it. I don't know why I get my head wrapped up around that. But man, we want to talk about something today that you've been pretty passionate about. You also host, you're one of the founders of a room, not only of Contagious Auto and Contagious Podcast, but of the Pitch Tank, kind of like a Shark Tank, which I think is great. So any vendors out there, you've got a new product, you've got new ideas. I want to encourage you to follow Kyle on Clubhouse. I believe it's every Wednesday, is it not, Kyle?
Yeah, Wednesday, 10 Eastern. We just get some vendors on there and potential partners to pitch. And we've got myself and some other awesome marketers in the space, dealer principals, general managers, decision makers. And you get 3 minutes, and then we grill you, then we grade you. And then if you win, you get on the podcast, and you probably win even more because you get some contracts out of it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. This has never been about self-promoting anything on our end with Tim Talks. And I've listened and I've heard about some phenomenal products, some phenomenal stuff coming out through this, because I think if you know anything about us, we truly love our industry and we want to just get better together. So let's talk about that, Kyle. This is something that you and I have worked through. You actually are helping us working on some, with some ideas on how to make our product better. But, I think vendors listening to this, and I also think dealership personnel, whether you're the, like yourself, marketing director, BD, general manager, general sales manager, I think it's very important when we talk about vendor dealer relationships. I'm just going to let you unpack that for a second and let you kind of take that. What does that mean to you? What is that? Let's just, well, let me back up. In that room, there is another room that's vendor partner relationships in Clubhouse. And a lot of times vendors jump in there and sometimes they flex, sometimes they pitch, but that's not what we're talking about. What is it like to have a true vendor partner relationship? I think this would be great for both the dealership side to listen on how to cultivate and create those partnerships, as well as the vendor side. What are your thoughts, Kyle?
Well, let's go back I don't know. So I've been in the car business for a little over 11 years, right? Let's go back 15 to 20 pre-Kyle. And let's look at the level of tech and the level of partners that we had in the dealer, right? You had your CRM, your DMS, maybe your, most likely you were writing everything up in one of those two things, right?
Yep.
Maybe you were super forward thinking and you had an auto trader login, right? And a cars.com login. And then you're like, okay, so I don't have time for the marketing side. So I'm going to get an agency to do my newspaper and my TV. And if I'm super forward thinking, I might have a website, right? We're talking like late 90s, early 2000s. And so like on that, we can probably count, on less than two hands, the number of people and the number of account reps that you're interacting with on a week by week, month by month basis. Fast forward 2021, and if you're a dealer in the room, you're about to like squirm in your seat, because I'm going to ask you how many tabs you have open on a daily basis, how many logins you have saved into your Chrome instance, how many cards you have in your desk drawer, how many times a day you get a new message in your email inbox saying, here's a bright, shiny object that you should run after to do better at business because everybody else is doing it. Or if you're not doing it, you're not serving your customer well. So we're just like, as an industry, inundated with this partner / tech stack / agency relationship level that to the majority of dealers that don't have a large dealer group or even a medium-sized dealer group have flying at them on a day-to-day basis. And managing just the simple management of like a dealership is a difficult thing, let alone the number of partnerships with current or future tech items or marketing pieces or in-store or out-of-store use, customer-facing things. I mean, if you're not getting stressed out just listening to it, right? It's just a massive, there's just so much going on. So one, like the first thing that I encourage on the dealer side is like, that's a whole part of your business that you have to recognize is there. It's not, it's a separate, it's a big piece. So there's probably a recognition that you've got to have someone owning that piece of your business. It's like, so historically we've got four pieces of the business, right? You got sales, service, parts, and accounting. And if you're really lucky, you got a body shop. So you got 5 parts of your business. Well, you have a whole nother sector of business, and that's like tech / marketing / and that whole arena that probably can't just be managed by the people in those other 5 departments because of the level of necessity. And so I think the first piece is just recognition that we are not in 2000, that we're in 2021. And that your tech, your marketing, your relationships with those vendors need to be full-time managed by someone. And if you're doing that, you're like 10 steps ahead of the game. And so I think that that's the first big encouragement. And then from the vendor side is to say, okay, so I may not be dealing with the final decision maker with everything, right? Because the general manager is now managing a person or department that is in charge of managing a massive part of their expense structure in their business, which is the tech and marketing side of stuff. And so that's the partners that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and in both like from a training level, from an execution level, from how are you interacting with my employees or with my customers or with my potential clients. And so I think just like a recognition of the shift of mindset in how that partnership and how that relationship has to be managed.
So when you say, you need someone to, and we talked about this, and you wrote an article or made a post, I think, about, does a dealership need someone that handles all of their digital? And it got a lot of response. But when you talk about handling the vendor piece, where does somebody start? Where do they start? Okay, great. Okay, Kyle says I need to do this. The guy's pretty successful. People are listening to him. What do I need to do? So what's other than step 1 is recognizing, there's an issue that needs to be addressed. What is step 2?
Oh boy, that's a tough one, right? Because, well, the next step is like, especially from the dealer side, the owner, the dealer partner, or the GM side, is there's going to be a level that you're going to have to relinquish control of something that you've maybe historically owned. And so you've got to find that person or team that you can trust enough to relinquish control. And though it may come from someone that's already on your team, maybe the internet manager or the GSM or the fixed ops director, maybe that person does have the know-how, the technical nature to kind of shift into a more focused role to own your partnerships across tech and agency. But it may also come from outside of the car business, and it may come from someone that's never even been in the car business that understands that world a lot deeper. I mean, just, the tech world and the partnership world out there, from like what companies utilize outside of automotive, is so drastically different than what we're using in automotive right now. And sometimes fresh eyes for your dealership or dealer group are what it's going to take to transform what you have the capacity to do from a communication standpoint, both with your employees and your customers. And so I think it's finding that key person and not skimping on them. This isn't like a raise. Okay, maybe it is your reception. I don't want to cut out anyone from this, but it's probably not a raise for your receptionist, to go from an hourly wage to $30,000 a year. This is a high-powered employee that probably, this person's going to be managing a massive piece of your expense structure, whether it be on the marketing side or the technology side. And so you almost have to trust them in the same regard as like a GM or an owner would be trusted with your business, just because of the level of complexity that they're going to be dealing with.
And the level of dollars that they're dealing with.
Yeah, just dollars alone, right?
Tens of thousands of dollars, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the PMA and market and everything else. Let's turn the page a little bit. What would what are some frustrations that you have? If, I'm sure we'll have some vendors listening. What are your frustrations? Let's just get it out on the table. How does a vendor create? And I've got my ideas. I mean, we just try to love on everybody, and still, it's funny. I heard Kevin Deutsch, who I think you knew. He's a dear friend, one of the best GMs I know. Took a store from 40 to 300, and he had lost a bunch of weight recently. And he said, follow me, just hang with me for just a second. I'm going someplace. And I said, man, how did you lose all that weight? And he said, I ate dinner naked in front of the mirror. He said, you want to lose weight, you eat you eat dinner naked in front of the mirror. And he said, I didn't eat. So, but that is powerful. Listen to this. Unpacking anything. If we want to get better, we need to be able to look at ourselves and see our flaw as we really are, right? And if we want to get better, we need to take criticism. We need to be able to say, you know what, that doesn't look good. I need to change that. So I think all of these, it's a leader mindset, quite frankly. The leaders and the top 1%ers, I had the privilege to spend last week, 4 days with the top 1% of the automotive industry. Phenomenal, totally different podcast, but that's what they do. These are guys that are selling 200 cars a month by themselves. Ali Rita, Frank Cronetti, all these guys averaging 150 cars a month, and so on and so forth, these big dealerships. But they say, how can I get better? Really? But there's a common denominator there. So I went on a tangent for a second, just saying that, listen, ladies and gentlemen, when you're talking on the dealer side, Mr. Dealer that doesn't want to give up control, to hire a digital manager or digital marketing manager, or put somebody in charge of vendor relationships and vendors, even though you've found some success, listening, eating dinner naked in front of the mirror, and really taking criticism. So you see how I turned that back around. Kyle was like, oh my gosh, Tim, where are you going? But in your opinion, what are some of the things that vendors need to really do to truly cultivate that partnership? We say vendor, and everybody says Sunday school words. I hate the word vendor. We're partners. But how many true partners do we really have? So let me just let you run with that for a minute.
Yeah. So I'll say two things that absolutely bug the heck out of me, right? Is one, is that the like vendor talk. I'm gonna name that there's
No
three
company
things.
names. No company
What's
names.
that? No
Don't mention any
no
companies.
company
Right, right, right.
names, right?
We're not going to beat
But
anybody up, but you know who
but
you are.
there's three. I got him. There's three things that every tech company say out of their mouth, right?
Yep.
They are these three words.
Yep.
And I every single time I hear one of these words, a
Yep.
question mark goes off in my head.
I'm naked in front of the mirror. Hit me right now.
Ready?
Yep.
AI,
Yep.
integration.
Yep.
Can I pause for integration, please?
Yes.
Can we have a
Yeah.
moment of silence for integration?
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Got it.
And three, well, it's just a whole level of like, and I was gonna say CPC, CPL, whatever, but a whole level of acronyms that are related to KPIs, right? That they come in saying, this is what you should be tracking, Mr. and Mrs. Dealer. And so that leads me to my, so those are the three things. Like you've got X KPIs that are your like proprietary, how you track, integrations, and AI. And if you're a vendor on the phone, you know you've said one of those things and you've probably tried to oversell whatever those things are, right? Because everyone's like, we have AI. Well, come on now. Let's go. Everybody uses machine learning these days, right? So what's different about your machine learning integrations? Do you really integrate, or do you send an ADF XML form into my CRM? Right. Or an FTP file, right? So there's two. And then three is you just created a whole bunch of level of KPIs out there that are CPL, CPC, all these marketing, KPIs, bounce rates, and all this, and said, hey, here's the KPIs you need to be tracking, but you didn't ask what KPIs the dealership needs to be tracking and how those relate to it. So boom, that's issue number one. Issue number two is you have either an employee that's never been in automotive before, or one that's been in automotive for a little while as an account manager or salesperson, only on the vendor side or is on the vendor side, coming in, and the first thing they're telling the dealer, whether it be a salesperson or a long-term account manager, you are terrible at your job. Sometimes being that direct, and sometimes not even being that, and sometimes not being that direct, but essentially saying, you don't know what you're doing. I do, even though I've never stood in your shoes, or I have stood in your shoes and you're terrible at your job. And that just, it doesn't go well for anyone, right? Like a true partner is someone that walks alongside someone and says, we're going to get better together, right? We can support you in your current efforts to get better in what you are doing. And that's the definition of a partner. A vendor comes in and says, I'm going to sell you this so you can fix what's broken.
Right.
A partner says, hey, you do some really cool stuff, and we're going to come in alongside, support you, and help you do cool stuff better. And if that was the change, it'd be amazing. Not just that, but like, I mean, I love every like frontline employee, like our salespeople are the people that interact with the people that are purchasing cars from us every single day. And they are massively meaningful to our business, and they have great presence, and they know the technology, they know the car, all that type of stuff. But I think our vendors, especially those that are training and our larger vendors, and I'll use, whether it be Car Now or some of the larger vendors out there, are training these frontline employees to deal with and support and talk to and communicate with people that have been in the industry for a very long time, been very successful, and dot their I's and cross their T's like the best of them. And that's what's made them successful. And so getting them to the level of ability to communicate with those people takes a massive amount of training. And so if our vendors aren't doing that and committing to that, then those poor people are going to walk into rooms and just get absolutely destroyed. So those are my two. I know I talked a long time, but like those are my two kind of things that are pet peeves from a dealer side that vendors consistently struggle with, in my opinion.
So, and again, that I have heard that so many times, because occasionally I still do, and we've got people much smarter than I that do a lot of demos, and when we talk to people. But look, that's one of the things, we're not perfect. I think, you're right. Hey, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong. We tell, we've won all the awards. We've done a lot of things good, but we're not perfect. We're going to drop the ball. But when we drop the ball, we'll figure it out. If you drop the ball, we'll be there to pick it up, and we'll be, and this is one thing that I just want to say, that I think there's a lot of mistake, and hopefully I'm not helping too many of our competitors out there. So but it's so true. And look, as we try to, as a rising tide raises all ships, it's fine. But thinking, whatever you're doing, and you've got a great case study that works in New York, Miami, that might not work in Dothan, Alabama. And I'm not being silly. I mean, my daughter's fiance is from Dothan, Alabama. I'm country's cornbread, as I sit here in Kentucky, where we started the whole thing. So, but understanding that, you go to the sales meeting, you get all fired up, you're getting ready to charge hell with a squirt gun, as I always say, and that might not work for that dealer. And shut up, salesperson, shut up and listen to the needs of what your dealer needs, and see if you can customize. There are several software companies out there, will not be that they have here's our tool, whether you're in, it's going to work here or it's going to work here. And, that's a much tougher sale. So that's definitely our thoughts on the situation. Any closing remarks? This has been great. Hopefully we've helped somebody. We've talked about, and we've given vendors some idea of what not to do and possibly what to do when starting that true relationship with your dealer partner. And, the cool thing is some of my dealer partners have become my dear friends. I mean, it's phenomenal. You and I have talked about some domestic stuff. We've got choked up on the phone, not to get too personal here. I have on my end about how much you care about what's going on in my personal life. And I appreciate you for that. But man, that's what partnership's really about. And at the same time, and here's the thing, at the same time, you and I have that type of relationship, but if something's broken with our product or it needs to be fixed, you're going to be the first one to blow my freaking phone up and say, bro, what's going on? Yeah. That's what partnerships need to look at. And then you giving a clear path to dealers and what dealers should be doing, because you're right, 19 different logins, and hopefully we're going to change that soon, but 19 different logins and all these different things, but putting somebody in place so they can do what they do, which is shaking hands, kissing babies, and selling as many automobiles as possible. Closing remarks, my friend.
Yeah. Be proactive. Get after it. If you're a dealer, go find the right tech for yourself. Don't wait for the next email to come in with the shiny thing, right? Be proactive, get after it, find the right person, create the process, then go get the tech, get the partner, find the partner that makes most sense for you. And as a vendor, be proactive in your search. Don't just walk up, come to Nashville and go, well, there's 30 dealers. We're going to walk in all of them, see if anything works for us, or works as a partnership. Be specific, find the people that makes most sense to partner with you based on the way that you do business as a vendor, and that you could actually serve, support, and help their way of doing business. You can find out a lot about people online, on social media, on their website. Go after the ones that are going to make most sense to do business with and be partners with, and it'll be more rewarding. You may do business with less people, but they're going to be more quality in the end, and you're going to have less churn.
100%. Kyle, thank you so much. Kyle, my dear friend, you do a lot of things the right way, man. And I look forward to, and Kyle's going to be speaking, I believe, at Digital Dealer. Yes.
Yeah. We got two sessions on Wednesday. Yeah.
He's got 2 sessions. He's going to be live at Digital Dealer. So do not miss Kyle if you are going there. And so thankful that you took the time out of your day to jump on this podcast. And we want to thank you for tuning in again. And thank you so much. It warmed my heart. Because of Clubhouse, we kind of put Tim Talks on the shelf, and the email after email and text, and just again, warms my heart. Thank you so much as we come to you twice a month, continuing to hopefully, as always, remember, no one is smarter than everyone. So let's continue to get better together. God bless y'all. We will see you next time. Until then, Go forth and crush it, my friends. We'll talk to you
Yes.
soon.
Thanks, Tim.